Okay, so to make your folder, if you have not made your folder, all right, there's a blue create button right here in the top left corner. You click on it, you choose folder. You only need to make one. Now, if you don't see exactly what I saw, most of you are probably going to see this when you log in. All right, you're going to see some random files up here. That's this last open thing. You can expand or collapse these. Okay, you can expand or collapse these. You might maybe see it getting started with Onshape, but you can make that go away. Okay. You make your folder. I'm going to go into Mr. Biggles folder. Once you're inside your folder, you're going to make a file. So you'll go to create and you will choose document. What are we choosing?
Document.
Right. So whenever you do something with Onshape, it's just a document. There's not different types of documents. It's all just a document. Okay. So we're going to create one and we're going to call it something related to kittens. All right. I'm going to call it kittens. You can call it whatever you want, but we're going to make a cat. All right. And then I'm going to click the blue create. It will automatically open up the document. Now, before we start making anything, I want to introduce to you some navigational things. This is where it gets to be really helpful that you have an actual mouse. If you are using a touchpad, I'm not saying it can't be done, but like if you get frustrated, I don't want to hear it because we have mice, so no sympathy. You can click on things with the left mouse button. So like I can click on these planes here. Okay, you can click on stuff with the left mouse button. You can click and drag to select multiple things. All right. If you push down the right mouse button and hold, you spin around.
Wow.
Okay. Pushing down the right mouse button. You get to be, this is a free spin, free like the antelope. Now, if you have used a computer, you probably already know that you can zoom in and out with the mouse wheel. All right, that's probably very intuitive. But if you push the mouse wheel in, the mouse wheel is a button. If you push the mouse wheel in, you do what's referred to as panning. So you can pan by holding the mouse wheel down, which is also very useful. Okay? So that's what you can do freely with the mouse. Now that's all nice and well and fun and everything. I don't know what that is. We're going to get rid of that. But what you can do is you can use what's referred to as the view cube. Okay? So over here in the top right is the view cube. And you can click on things to quickly get very specific views. So for example, one of the planes of the view cube is called front. I can click on it and it square aligns me up with front. I can then click these arrows. They're gray, but if you hover over them, they're blue. I can click these arrows and I can rotate. I can click the arrows in the middle of the sides to rotate those directions. You can click on the edge or corner of the view cube. So if I click on this corner, it gives me a nice view like that. If I click on an edge, it all aligns with stuff. Do you have any questions about how we might navigate?
No.
The traditional viewpoint is the one where you see the front, top, and right side. That is the traditional viewpoint in America. Since we live in America, that's the only viewpoint we're going to care about. So when in doubt, orient your thing like that. You'll click on the corner of the cube such that you see front, top, and right. We're now going to actually make a cat. So as a general rule, when you want to do something, it's a two-step process. You're going to make a sketch, which is a two-dimensional feature, and then you're going to use the two-dimensional thing and turn it into a three-dimensional thing. All right, it's a two-step process in general. So we're going to start off by making a sketch. Right here, you should see the word sketch. Yes? Yay? Yeah? Yeah. So you click on sketch, and when you choose sketch, you have to tell it where you are going to place the sketch. Okay? Now, by default, there are 3 planes, a front, a top, and a right plane. All right? Those exist by default. We're going to start off on the front plane because that just makes sense. What plane are we starting on? So a single click, and I am now sketching on the front plane. Okay? When you sketch on a plane, it's usually helpful that you're looking straight at the plane. This is the front plane, correct? So I'm going to recommend that you click on the front right here. Someone's trolling and is in my file, and I'm pretty sure I know who it is, but that's okay.
Nathan, stop, bro. Quit getting on his file. No, I'm being serious, though.
Yeah, when you go to your engineering
So, like,
notebook,
he's
when
not
you go to
the
your
line.
engineering notebook and like
He's not the
everything's
line
just
lead.
gone, and you're like, Joe, I did it. I said, well, I don't see it, so I guess you're getting a 0. You'll know why.
Wait, it was actually him, but who did you think it was before? Bro.
So I think that lining it up so you look dead at what you want to draw is a lot easier, okay? One thing I want you to notice is that the origin and the planes are already there. It's very useful information to have that. It helps us draw our stuff, okay? You should see, once you're in sketch mode, you should see this little white window with a green checkbox and a red X. Yeah, we see that?
Yes.
If you click on either of those, okay, if I click on the red X, it cancels the sketch. If I click on the green check mark, it quote unquote finishes the sketch. If either deliberately or accidentally, you click the green check mark and you're like, oh no, I wasn't done. Do not make a new sketch. Go edit the existing sketch. Do you understand? I always see this. Kids are like, I don't know why this is not working. And they have like 15 sketches and they've drawn like parts of the sketch they want in each of them. And then, like, it doesn't work. Okay. So if you exit out of the sketch, over here, there's this navigational pane. You can think of it as like a table of contents, and you can see your sketch, and you can just double click on it. And now you're back into that sketch. You understand? Yes, say yeah. Yeah. Good. All right. When you're in a sketch, you should see a bunch of sketch tools up here. We can draw lines, we can draw rectangles, we can draw circles. We're going to start off by drawing the cat's head. So we're going to do a circle, okay? So right here, there's a circle. You're going to click on it. It says center point circle. So after you select the tool, the first click is going to plop the center of the circle, and the second click is going to control how big the circle is. So I'm hovering over the origin because I think it just is a good point to start. I'm going to place the center of my circle on the origin of the coordinate system. So I'm going to start with my cursor here. I clicked. Whenever I click next, that's going to plop the circle. All right, I have a circle. Are we good so far?
Yeah.
No.
With what?
Sorry. We'll figure it out.
Are you good?
Make your circle.
I should be.
Okay.
Sorry.
So I am not going to worry about sizes of things. Just make it look good. Okay? That looks good. So we're going to go with that. All right? Now, a cat has ears, right?
Yeah.
Basic shapes here. What shape is a cat's ears? Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw some triangles at the top of the circle. So right here is the line tool. Do we see that?
Yeah.
So I'm going to click on that. And I'm going to just click and drag. There's an ear. Okay. When you're done drawing something and you don't want to continue drawing lines anymore, you can hit the escape key. What key? Escape key. So if you're ever in a tool and you don't want to use that tool anymore, you can hit escape. All right. I'm going to draw another ear over here. There, I got 2 ears. Now, it would be nice if the ears were symmetrical, right? Right? It
Yeah.
would be nice. And I'm going to show you how to do that.
Yeah.
However, I need you to understand something very important here before we do that. There is something called a constraint. When you draw stuff, you can constrain things in your drawings. Now, constraints are very, very useful. I'll give you an example. Maybe I want two lines to be the same length. I hope you can appreciate that if I made each of those lines the same length, the ears are going to look the same, right? Yeah? Yeah? The problem is sometimes constraints get applied automatically. And if you're not careful, you'll end up applying constraints that you do not want, which is generally speaking not good, right? So I'm going to redraw this and I'm going to show you what I mean by constraints. So, no, just watch. So as I hover my cursor, I'm about to start drawing a line. You might notice to the bottom right of my cursor, so you can see where my cursor is, you might notice a little tiny icon. I'm going to go up to the board and I'm going to actually touch the icon or point at it so that you can see. So I'm hovering my mouse. It's actually over the circle and there's an icon right here. That icon only shows up when my cursor is over something like the circle or the origin. It's not there in general. Watch. I move my cursor. All right, the icon goes away. I move it back to the circle, and suddenly the icon comes back. What is that icon? That icon is a constraint that's about to be automatically applied. That is a coincident constraint. So what it's going to do is when I start to draw this line, it's going to permanently attach the endpoint of that line to the circle. Okay? Now, generally speaking, if I start drawing the line on the circle, it's probably because I want the line to be on the circle, right? So this is a good thing that it does these constraints automatically. But here's where things get tricky. Do you see how there's another icon? It's a vertical line. That icon right there is another constraint. You see, I'm drawing this line and I'm drawing it mostly vertical, and the computer assumes that I actually want the line to be vertical. Well, if I actually want the line to be vertical, that's a good thing. That constraint will be applied and it'll keep that line vertical no matter what. But what if I don't want the line to be vertical? So as you are drawing, pay very close attention to these icons. If you don't want something to be constrained to be vertical, deliberately make it not vertical. Because if you do, it's going to be constrained vertical and then you're kind of cooked. I mean, yes, you can delete constraints. But if you're new and you don't know what you're doing, that's going to get very confusing very quick. So my recommendation is I don't want the line to be vertical, so I'm going to deliberately draw it not vertical. We understand? Yeah? Okay? No icon, no constraint. Now, you can see there's some other constraints that might automatically apply. There's a horizontal constraint. I lock that line horizontal. Here's a perpendicular constraint. It will lock it to be perpendicular with the previous line. If you don't want a constraint, move it until you don't see any icons other than the coincident one. That's going to, again, lock that endpoint onto the circle. Okay? Then I can hit escape. And I'm going to draw my other ear over here. Okay? Now, we are going to use constraints to make our ears match. Right here is the constraints. So there's like a search bar. It's the one on the far right. Now, if you are on a Chromebook, Chromebooks are small. So you might not see all the tools that I see. You may have to like click an arrow to expand it or whatever. But this is the constraint. If you hover over it, it should say the word coincident because that's the first constraint in the list. Do we see this? Yes, yay, yeah. Now, there's a drop-down arrow next to it. And if you click it, there's a whole bunch of constraints. Now, which constraint do you think we would use to make two lines the same size?
Symmetric.
Could use symmetric. If I want to just make two lines the same size, though, I would use equal. So I click on equal. Yeah. Now, you notice that it's active tool because it's blue up there, right? So once I start clicking things, it's going to start making them equal. So if I click on here, and then I click on here, it's going to make those two equal. Sound good? Yes, say yeah?
Wait.
Where's constraint?
So I made each side of the year equal to itself. Are we good so far? Yeah.
I can't find the constraint button.
It's right here on a laptop. You're in a Chromebook, right? You're in a Chromebook.
Yeah.
I mean, if you bring it up here, and I can show you. But it's gonna be. You're gonna have to probably click something because the Chromebook screens are small.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're not in your sketch, so this is all features.
So you put
Double click on a sketch.
and then.
Yes. Are we good?
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
Now, I'm going to do the same thing to the other ear. I'm going to go to the right ear, and I'm going to make each side of the ear equal. I just made the right ear now, the two sides of that ear equal to each other. The last thing I want to do is set the left ear equal to the right ear, right? Makes sense? Yeah? Yeah? So I'm going to click on one edge of the left ear, and I'm going to click on one edge of the right ear. So now the ears are the same size.
Wait. How do you do that first year, like with the perpendicular?
I did. It just happens to be that I didn't make it perfect. I didn't make it straight up and down.
Like how should we equal? I was wondering.
Click, click. Now those two lines are equal.
Click, click.
Well, you have to have the equal constraint selected.
How do I do the equals constraint? Where do I find it? Oh, I found it. Okay, I did it.
Okay.
Wow.
Now, just to prove what is constrained here, if something is blue, you are free to move it. The ears are still blue. So I can click an ear, and you notice I can still move it around. Now, what won't change is it's not going to come off the circle. Like, these endpoints are locked to the circle, right? And this side is equal to this side. That's not going to change. And if I go over to this ear and to make it really big, if I try to make this ear really big, it'll affect the other ear as well. I don't know. Oh, thing lagged. Unfortunate. It's very laggy. I'm just not going to mess with that ear then.
Yeah, it is.
Now, one thing that we haven't constrained is the positioning of the ears. Notice that the two ears are not forced to be at the same exact angle or orientation. So we can use other constraints to do that. I would like for you to click on the drop-down arrow for the constraints, and I would like for you to choose horizontal. What are we choosing? So what you can do with horizontal, no, absolutely not. Go back in there.
I'm leaving.
Then leave.
Why are you so mad?
Because I just knew you were about to mean. I knew it. I could tell. I could see the look on your face.
I was gonna ask you to email my teacher so I could stay here. So I had to go back to class. I don't have anything to do. I just don't want to go to class.
I mean, there's a lot of big hallways. You know, you do you, man. Good luck. So I'm going to use a horizontal constraint. When you use a horizontal constraint, you can make a line go horizontal. But what you can also do is you can force two things to line up horizontally so they're the same height. So I have the horizontal constraint, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this point right here where the ear meets the head, and I'm going to click on the same point for the other ear. And when I do that, it lines them up. Now, little warning here. Sometimes weird things like this happen. Okay? So, pro tip. Undo is your friend. Do we see the undo button?
Yeah.
Also, Control Z is a keyboard shortcut.
Why couldn't you could just use like the mirrors thing?
Well, I'm trying to show you a variety of different features, so this may shock you, but like, I actually have a reason for why I'm showing you how to do it the way I'm showing you. Okay, but we can mirror something else, and we wouldn't be able to do this for that something else. So we're going to use a mirror for that, and we're going to use this for this. So, steps.
Okay.
Okay, so you can undo, you can move things around and reapply it. What I did is I did a horizontal constraint to that joint and that joint. Okay, so now those 2 points are lined up horizontally. I can now do the bottoms. I can do a horizontal constraint to make this one line up with this one. And now my ears match each other. If you don't like the ear, you can click a line and you can move it, but notice that they move together. This is the power of constraints. All right? You can position your ears however you want, whatever you're happy with. Do we have questions before we move on?
How hard would it be about it?
Who's this for? Devon. Go. Yes, you. Guidance. Guidance.
Yeah.
You good, my dude? Have fun, don't die out there. Come on. Okay, we're done with this sketch. So, how do we finish a sketch? Yeah, click the green check mark. At this point, you should only see one sketch over here. If you see more than one, you done goofed hard. There should only be one. Like, see how it says sketch 1? Better not see sketch 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. We understand? Yeah? Okay, so I told you at the very beginning that when you try to make something, it's usually a two-step process. You make a two-dimensional something, and then you use that two-dimensional something to make a three-dimensional something. Well, we did the first step, right? Now we have to use the two-dimensional something to make a three-dimensional something, okay? Notice that all of our tools up here look different. They all look different because we are no longer in a sketch. So what we're going to do now is we're going to do the most basic, most common feature in CAD software, and it's called an extrude. Extrude is actually an industrial term. It is not a CAD term. It is not a computer term. It is an industrial manufacturing term. When they talk about extruding and manufacturing, they mean quite literally this. This is a piece of metal. We see it? Yes, say yeah? Yeah. Okay? It has a profile. You see a shape? It has a shape. Yeah? It has a shape. It's called extrusion because what they do is they take this shape and then they run metal through to make it whatever length they want. So this is where all the action is, this shape, right? And then it just maintains that shape the entire length. You guys know what an I-beam is? Yeah, that's an example of extrusion. You have an I-shaped profile, and you just make the beam as long as you want. Okay? So they call this extrusion. The first feature button is the extrusion feature. It's the one right here. It looks like a cube next to a cube. It's the most commonly used feature, which is why they put it first. It's right next to the sketch button. We see it. Yes, say yeah? When you click on a feature, 9 times out of 10, you have to tell it what sketches to use for the feature. So I clicked extrude, the button, and this little extrude window came up. We see it. Yes, yeah? Yeah? Now, it's prompting you to choose what sketch or sketches you want to extrude. I know it's prompting me because I see a blue box. Yeah? So this is what, if I click, it's expecting me to click for this. So you can go and you can click on the cat's face. Circle, ear 1, ear 2. Yeah? Now, it may not be obvious that a whole lot happened here. I mean, I hope you noticed that it changed color, right? It's a dark gray now. But if you use your mouse, right click and hold, you can turn the camera and you can actually see what's really going on here. We good? Now, you can type a number in here to change how far it goes. You can also click and drag this arrow right here to make it as thick or as thin as you want. What arrow? This is a white arrow right here. It's blue because I'm hovering over it, but it's white in general. You can click and drag it to go. You can even make it go the other direction if you want to, okay? Make it a nice thickness. Whatever thickness suits your fancy. Yes?
How would you make it into more of like a sphere rather than like a cutter kind of shape?
You wouldn't use an extrusion. So once you like where it is, you click the green check mark. Okay. We good? And now I have a cat face. Do we have questions before we move on? What does our cat face need? Yeah, it probably needs eyes, right? All right. So we are going to now add eyes. So what I would recommend you do, make sure you can see the front of the cat's face. I don't care what the exact angle is, just make sure you can see the front of the face. We're going to make a sketch on the face of the cat. So click on the word sketch. What am I clicking on?
Sketch.
And you can make a sketch on something you've already made. So I can make a sketch on the face of this cat. That's what I'm going to do. We're good? Yeah? Okay. So I have made a sketch on the cat's face. Now, since I'm drawing on that face, in my opinion, I think it's always easiest to draw on a surface while you're looking straight at the surface. So I'm going to click on front of the view cube just so that I'm looking square at the surface. Is that a requirement?
No.
No. But I genuinely do think it makes it a lot easier to draw on, and you know, what you think you're drawing and what's actually being drawn are going to be more in sync if you're looking at it straight on. Okay. Now, what color is it, or what shape is a cat's eye? Is it really a circle? Yeah. It's got a little bit more interesting geometry to it, right? Yeah. Now, I am not going to get too nitpicky into what shape you make the eye. All right? But I am going to show you some stuff. So if you want to be able to do it the exact way I'm doing it, then, you know, follow along. What we're going to do is we are going to make the eye, if you can think of almost like a football shape. I don't know if that makes sense. Like a football shape, that's what we're going to do. Okay? We're going to make a football shape. So I'm going to draw like two circles, if you can appreciate that. So do you see the circle tool, right? So if I draw a circle, and then I like draw another circle, there's a region they overlap, right? And that's what I want to be my eye. Does this make sense? Possibly, hopefully. I'm going to do that again, one more time. So I want like a football shape, right? And there's different ways I could do that, but anyway, I'm going to draw a circle, and then I'm going to draw another circle, and where the circles overlap is my eye shape. We good? Yeah? Now, I did this. I'm not saying you have to do this, but if you watch very carefully what I do here, after I drew my first circle, the second circle, I actually started with the center on the previous circle, and then I drew the edge of that circle to the center of the first one. And I'm not saying that you have to do that, but that's what I did. Okay? Do you have any questions so far?
No.
Now, something else I'm going to do, I don't want my eye to be like lopsided or weird. So what I'm going to do when I do this, if I don't line these up just right, I'm going to do an extreme example here. I mean, you can see that the shape is good, but the orientation is kind of funky, right? That's not the orientation I want. So what you can do is you can take the two centers of the circles and line them up. What constraint would you use to line them up? Yeah, so we can go to the constraint tool on the far right. If it's not already selected, you can choose horizontal. And you can line these up. And now they're aligned so that the eye is, you know, in the orientation that would make sense. Are we good so far?
Yes.
Now, this extraneous circular stuff is kind of annoying and distracting. It's not really what I want, right? It was helpful to make what I want, but I don't really want this extra circular stuff. So right here, you see the scissors tool. Scissors, yes, yeah. You can click on that, and if you hover over something, you can click on it and make it disappear. Easy, problem solved. I'll show that one more time. Okay, the scissors tool right here, you can click on it and you can make things that are extraneous disappear. Now I'm going to warn you. Sometimes using the scissors tool does not work. It'll take away what you wanted, but then everything else starts to fall apart.
I don't see the scissors.
Well, I don't know if you had ever clicked on it before.
It looks like a.
These are the other
Dude,
options.
It's not on my bar. I don't.
Are you in the sketch? Did you exit out of the sketch?
No. I'm still on.
Here, drop it in here.
I checked it.
You want me to help you bring your thing here?
I bet I can find it.
All right, now, it took some effort to make that eye. So, I know that the eye is going to be the same on both sides, right? So, I'm not going to draw another eye. That is too much work. I am going to use the power of the computer to draw the second eye for me. There's a lot of different ways you can do this. I am showing you one way. In a sketch, you can mirror parts of your sketch. So right here is the mirror tool. It's got like a black L, and then it's got like a dashed line with a blue L, like on the other side of the dashed line. This is the mirror tool. Do we see it?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, you can mirror parts of a sketch, or you can mirror features. 9 times out of 10, mirroring features is better. But I want to show you how to mirror stuff in a sketch. So you click on the mirror tool. Now, it tells you with this little blue tooltip, it says select a mirror line. The first thing you have to do is actually choose what you're reflecting or mirroring the image about. So the mirror line, I'm going to hover over this line that already exists. You see, this is why it's helpful to make intelligent choices early on. You may recall that when I drew the initial circle for my cat face, where did I put the center of that circle? I put it right there at the origin where all the planes intersect, right? Yes, say yeah? Why is that helpful? Because now those planes cut my cat's face in half. So that makes them useful for lines of symmetry later. If you did not put the center of the cat's face on the origin, those planes are not cutting the cat's face in half. And that means you can't use them for mirror lines of symmetry. Sucks to suck. GG, well played. If you didn't do that, you know what? It's not the end of the world. The more you know, right? So symmetry is very powerful. It says select a mirror line. A click selects the mirror line. And now the blue tooltip says select entities to be mirrored. And so I'm going to click on my 2 lines, and it just immediately puts them over there. This tool is still blue. Anything else I click is going to continue to get mirrored. To get out of the tool, what do? You hit escape. Now it's not blue. Now I'm free to do whatever I want. If I click and move this, you notice that the other one moves with it. Okay? They are synced to each other. We have questions? Okay, how do you finish the sketch?
Check green check mark.
Green check mark. Well, Bryce wasn't even here and he already knows. All right. Now, it's not easy to see those eyes, but they are there. It's a very faint gray. I promise you that they're there, though. They are there, 100% guaranteed. we're going to do an extrusion again. What are we going to do? Extrusion. So I'm going to click on the extrude tool. You only see this tool if you're out of your sketch. At this point, you should see sketch 1, extrude 1, and sketch 2. Yes? Yay? Yeah? Yeah? We good, my dude? We good? Good stuff, man. So click on the extrude tool. Remember, first thing it's going to do is it's going to prompt you, select what you want to extrude. So I click, and I click, and I've selected both eyes. Now, I don't want to do whatever that is, okay? I actually want to go into the cat's face to make the eyes. So when you do something with a feature, you can add material, but you also can remove material. I can use this sketch to cut out this shape. So do you see these tabs here where it says new, add, and remove, and intersect? Do you see these tabs? If you click on remove, it now cuts into the cat's eye, or cuts into the cat's face. I don't want to go all the way through, so I'm going to click this arrow and drag. I'm just going to go a little bit into the cat's face. I'm not going to go very much. Okay, just a little bit. I'm just clicking this arrow here to control how far. You can also type a number if you want. How do you finish a feature? I have now cut into the cat's face and I've made little eyes. Do we have questions? Okay. What you can do is you can put your